All right, so call the meeting to order. Commissioner Gage, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. First item on the agenda is to approve our agenda.
Move. Second.
Motion by Denner, second by Dinger. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. This time we'll open the meeting up for any public comments. Anyone wish to address the commission this morning on any topic that isn't on the agenda? Online, on the phone? No one in the room? We will move on. Amend the agenda for September 23rd.
Yeah, it should have been September 16th on the minutes, not September 2nd, which was within your packet, so we just need to amend that.
Move.
Motion by Dinger,
Second.
second by Gage. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Second reading and possible adoption of ordinance 310, rezone for Paul Larson.
Ordinance number 310, an ordinance amending Title IV, second revision, Brown County ordinances as amended, to rezone certain described property filed by petitioner Paul Larson to go from Ag Preservation District to Mini Ag District.
All right, is there anyone here to speak to ordinance 310? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Move. Second.
Motion by Gage, second by Dennert. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Next up, appointment of a board member for the Claremont Fire District. In the packet, they had a resignation and asking us to approve a board member.
Any problems with it? I'll move it.
Okay, motion by Dinger,
Second.
second by Dennert. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the question came up why the county is responsible for appointing members to the fire district. Just because that's what codified law says.
It was in the
Yeah.
letter, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Codified law.
Referred to codified law 34, dash 31A dash 21.
Okay,
Yep.
so for those who were questioning, that's the reason. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Next up, adopt resolution number 2025-48 for the 2026 fiscal year budget. Any questions, comments, concerns on our budget? Each commissioner will need to sign their approval. If no questions or comments, I would entertain a motion to approve next year's budget.
Move.
Motion by Gage,
Second.
second by Dennert. Any further discussion? Thank you for all the input from all the departments, and Lynn for all your work in helping get that organized. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next up, Dirk Rogers, Highway Superintendent, with his 5-year plan and a department update. Good morning, Dirk.
Morning. Since you guys approved the budget, I want to make a couple changes quick. Already handed you all out, should have one. I don't know if you guys want a copy. This just follows the map, basically. Just a little couple prefaces here. There's gonna have to be a change right out of the gate. Something's gonna get changed in '26, and it's gonna be tied to what a couple of the bid prices are gonna be. And the main change would be this piece of road here will get moved back a year or two. It was, if we pulled up the other map, this one got bumped up 3 years, but the only reason was to make working on this segment a little more economically viable but it does make this one, moves it up a couple years in the cycle. This one we're gonna work on no matter what, but I haven't had this evaluated for hot in place yet. I don't know if it's a candidate, so what I'm hoping in a perfect world is that it will be a candidate. We'll put this with this, and then that'll go back a couple years. But the way I have it in here, we're just doing all of it, okay?
Okay.
Which road is that?
That's 14, from south of the airport down and then...
So it's from 135th to 138th, or 148th.
135th, 148, yes.
So that's good.
First thing I had on there is 14E, that's these 2 miles, going east and west. They're about, I think we were gonna do them this year, and we're not gonna get to them, but it's getting pretty rugged. I don't know if we'll have to mill it up again. This was the road that we milled up in 2002, and then the next day we paved it because holy crap, are people pissed. And then I went and looked and it had, because I'm an idiot, it had, that 1 mile has like 3 times the traffic as anything else because everybody coming up 14 goes over and comes into town.
Sure.
So, okay, I'll get into this. So the first thing would be those 2 miles are in there for next year, as we were just talking about that Road 14 from 135 to 148. And I just have that in there as a hot in-place recycle. You can see that runs about, that's just a little less than 100,000 a mile. We've never done one. I'm hoping that's what it is, so we'll have to see what happens. And then, of course, I mentioned and this one, let's say that the county line down here, let's say that something just kooky happens, terrible winter, and all the money goes away, and we're down to we will pave this, because it's time for this one. It's due and all that. So even if for some reason it's not a candidate for the hot in place, we're still gonna do something with it. And then Road 16, I mentioned that's gonna be a cold in place, excuse me, I fell over there. They're already working on the design for this. They're just getting started on the design for this, so if that does go, it'll be a little later in the year next year, but the cold in place is the same thing we did on the Richmond Road, and then we did it going from Warner to Stratford too, and the value seems to be there. It's a little cheaper. And then 18, this is the other one that I'm hoping we get to, but that would complete, we finally got this 21 done, and I'm hoping to get those 4 miles put in there. That's sort of one of them that if something happens, that one might get kicked back another year. It's been gravel for, I don't know, 8 or 10 years probably. And then there's some microsurfacing on there, just a little bit up in here. This was going to be more, but it got cut down in order to try to accommodate some of this paving down here. So that's going to end up being 15 miles on that stuff, and this will get touched up hopefully ahead of time. We got a little paving in there we got to touch up on, but that's pretty new, and that's decent, not brand new, but pretty good shape. They should have got that painted. I don't know if anybody came that way. Was 11 painted? Anybody come?
No, I didn't come on 11.
All the painting should be done, by the way. Bridge 350, we've talked about that a little bit in the past, and a side note, after IMEG does bridge inspections for this year, sometime around November 1st, they'll come in and do that report, and we'll go more in depth into the specific bridges. But this is the one that, I was hoping to have a slow, painful death for it over about 10 years, and then it fell off its abutment. So that one, we're going to salvage the deck units and just replace the substructure. And I don't know what number I came up with there, but that's a pretty aggressive number. That's going to be plenty of money to do that. And that's all local funds. Everything I've talked about so far, too, is all local funds. And then the big thing will be the bridge finally, Sand Lake Bridge. The way it's sitting right now, we'll be putting about $600,000 of our own money in it. The state funding from the Big Bridge program will be $2.4 million from our generous legislature. Carl. And for a total funding about $3 million on that bridge, and we're still moving forward and on schedule. We do have a signed contract now, Lynn, so I can apply for the money, or we've got the stuff we need so we can apply for getting that money released to us, so we'll have that ahead of the game. All right, we'll go year by year there. You got any questions about 26? This isn't going to be that exciting. It's just me going through here and showing you what it is. I mean,
Just one
Yep.
clarification, you said on 14 there from 135 to 148, was that the whole thing is getting pushed back, or was it just the
No.
area in West Rondell?
It's just gonna be these south six here.
So Gem West will get done,
This will
but
get done.
West Rondell will
Yeah.
not? Okay, that's what I thought, I just wasn't...
I don't want the graffiti artists coming back.
Okay,
And it, you know, it might work out that this all fits into that project, but I'm trying to be realistic. Okay, 27. So election year next year, so some of you guys might not be here in 27, is that the deal, or are we all good still? Okay.
telling you a year from now.
Yeah, you can go use the bathroom now if you have any concerns, I guess. Road 21, so this, now it's the yellow stuff, this is a little easier to see, but Road 21, which, had I always been here, not taken my sabbatical, it would probably be already gravel, or we would already thought about it. That was the one that did get put back into service. And then, considering what's gone on down there with some of the egg stuff, it's probably turned out to be a good thing, you know. But, so that'll get, it needs a lot of love, but that one will get put back in together to a real road. 16, some of that's okay. I think I put in there the whole 6 miles, didn't I? Again, just to be safe. Yeah. But I think some of that's okay, too. So it probably won't be all 6 miles, but I put it in there just to make sure we got enough. 12E, that's another one that was almost gravel. We managed to put a really crappy blotter in there for about 7-8 years, and they put up with the holes and have been kind of decent about it. So I don't know if that'll be the same kind of story. If there's something we can make work with the blotter in there, we may. But, and you know, I put that on the sheet. If we go in there and find that there's a less expensive alternative that'll work, obviously we'll do that too. But little piece east of Columbia, that's kind of the same story I just told you about this one. We've been in there a few times doing some inexpensive stuff to try to kick the can down the road. Well, now we kind of got the whole thing in pretty good shape over here, so it'll be a little effort to put the rest of that together, but that's in there. Of course, 3A, I don't know if I'm falling down the list here, but you can see. 3A, same story. Those guys, I went up and actually met with a couple of them, said, because that road's just pummeled. And do you want us to keep patching it, or do you want it to be smooth and we'll mill it up and we can do it quick and the road will be fine? You got your choice. Well, I have no problem to continue patching it, and we'll cold mix it, but it's gonna look like a nasty old calico quilt, so, and they said they would rather have that. So we'll hang on as long as we can. In a perfect world, that bridge will get built in 27 as well, and we'll do the whole road there. I haven't, side note about that bridge, I have it in the schedule, and I'm gonna be optimistic, and it is realistic that it'll get in 27. I have not had any conversations with them about what they've done for the next step with that. A few landowners contacted me because they're gonna wanna renegotiate their right-of-way and their easement stuff, because the people on the west side might have the structure closer to them, so there's more impact to those folks. So they will want to revisit that, but. And then, that stuff we paved this year, in 27 will get microed, and the rest of this will get microed. The micro's a little bit, that's kind of a long-term, but it's a maintenance activity. So that's also something that could get shifted from this road to that road, depending on, because they also have to be in a certain condition in order to do some of this stuff. And I'm trying to guess what it's gonna be in 2 or 3 years, you know, so, and you guys have always been really good about the flexibility part, as long as I don't blow a whole bunch of money. All right, is that all for 26? I think so. Like I said, it's not that exciting, but. And then another comment, there's stuff we do that's not on here. None of the other maintenance activities are on there. We will be starting a crack seal program. I'll have to see how complicated that gets, you know. I've never put chip sealing on here, and it's always been bridges and overlays. Or if we did like a full reconstruction, but we haven't done one, but 2 of those in 20 years. So things like maybe crack sealing, you know, you might get something, and actually later in this thing here, I'm gonna make the same statement, but there's gonna be some years where we're gonna be doing substantial amounts of crack sealing and some chip sealing, although not as much as we used to, and of course, we're trying to do more micro. But those things are more, you know, those are a little more reactive than you are when you're trying to plan these bigger paving projects. You kinda get what I'm saying there, so that it might move around a little bit. And obviously, we'll be doing $1 million worth of patching every year, and by the looks of things, this spring is gonna be a potential problem for holes, but I hope I'm wrong. All right, that was 27. Moving right along. 28. Yeah, it gets even more boring the further you get away from today, because I'm really guessing. But, just getting back to some stuff that I know is gonna be 14, like this stuff out here is 10 years old already, so when you get to the 4 years into this, we're out there 12 years on some of it. This is the same. This is the opposite of this road, because this is one that was gonna be milled, and then when I came back, we were able to come up with a few cost-effective things to get it to today, and now it'll be coming up in a couple, 3 years. But again, in there, I think I have that we're just gonna be doing stuff on all of it, but some of it will be salvageable, and some of it we'll be able to just do like some chip sealing and sealing on and patching and over, and then there will be big chunks of it that have to be overlaid. There was quite a little asphalt put on, like maintenance overlays on the east-west part, but just like if you ever drive Road 9 up there, the pieces in between the good pieces are really getting bad. So, and then that's always been, I've always liked this, because about 2003, I synced these roads up with maintenance and stuff, and so we've always been able to pretty much work on this corner all at the same time. So I was never able to get too much more of the county like that, but this corner's been pretty good for that. So we'll be doing quite a bit of asphalt stuff there. There'll be some big stretches. This has gotten sealed once since it got paved, and it'll be, when we come around to it again in about 3 years, it'll be microed. And you know, that's an example that maybe when we come to 27 instead of 28, we'll go, okay, we can squeeze this in, and it's the right time, and things like that. Because when you get to the back end of this, I don't have as much planned work in here, so there's more room to pick up the stuff that's gonna fall through that I hope doesn't, and then add in the stuff that happens that I'm not thinking about. So we got 6 and 23 down there. This, just another piece that's been paved, or it's been gravel for about 10 or 12 years. Been kicking it back for a few years, and perhaps in 28, we might be able to pave it again. I'm not in favor of going any further north, because this floods all the time when we have 2 bridges down there that, so, by then, we'll probably come back and hit this again. This is another one that might have to be done before that, but we'll see. The micro runs about 50,000 a mile, or will be by then, and chip sealing's about half of that. So we may, in the interim, if one of these starts going before we can afford to get the micro on it, we might do a chip seal, which that actually has a name. They like you to do that. We haven't gotten into it yet, because we're not quite operating at that level, but you put a chip seal in there and then put your micro on top, and I think it's called a tape seal or something, and it helps with the reflective cracking, and you kind of got a barrier in there. I've always worked with the chip seal as the last thing, so I'm not real excited about building on top of it, but maybe someday we'll do that. I think that's about it for 28. And then 29's all microsurfacing. And I wanna say this with a great amount of caution, when I start looking out at 2029, I guess, I'm looking at, right, I didn't skip one, 2029, okay, the first thing that jumps out, that's 4 years from now. We did this about 6 years ago, so it'll be time to see how, because this is already something that's been microed and we made nice ones, and so it'll be a good indicator of how long that's gonna last versus a chip seal. I think it's doing okay so far, the way those look. But you can see on there, then we're just gonna be running around and hitting a lot of our more recent pavements. Pierpont Road, all of 23, 16 South. This got done before, a couple times actually. Where's the other stuff, Blue? Up around Claremont and that, but that's the same story as I was saying about this. This may have to be done before that. It's that new pavement from this year, so. But there'll be a lot of micro. When I get out to this point, without knowing what's gonna blow up next, we don't have a good spot to put in a 10-mile paving project. I'm not saying I don't want anybody to call you and go, well, I know there's a whole bunch of crap, but that's not what I'm saying. To go out and try to put together like an 8-mile project, we're kinda getting, you know, unless something kinda fails quicker than we think, we might not have one of those. So I'm gonna fall back on doing a lot of micro and a lot of crack sealing. That conference I went to had a lot of stuff about crack sealing in there, and one of the stats that stuck with me is something like 7% of the cracks that you seal turn into potholes, and like 90% of them that you don't seal turn into potholes. And we used to do a lot of crack sealing, and we haven't for about 5 years. I'm not really seeing a correlation, the cracks and the holes, because our holes are in places where the base is bad. But that is something I think that's pretty cost effective, and we should be able to stretch out some life on stuff with that. So, well, yeah, so that's 29. Obviously, there's plenty of room to add stuff in there, but even without adding more in there, that's north of $3 million worth of chip seal, or of micro there. So, I mean, it's a substantial amount of work. And then it gets really boring in that last year. I'm putting in those 4 bridges because those will be the next 4 that will run through the big bridge program. The way I'm putting them in my plan is we will not get PE grants. We'll use local money for the design, and then we'll get the 10 points when we go to bid them. So in my report, I'm not accounting for getting the PE grants for those bridges. Again, as time moves on, when it comes time to program them, it might be more palatable at that time. Okay, then we'll add that grant in there. If you get the grant, you don't get the extra points for your score when they're gonna award the bridges. And because,
But by including them in the plan, then they become eligible for the
right,
grant.
so this is actually one of the hiccups. If I'm in a really bad mood, I always raise hell about. So these have to be in by October 15th.
Right.
So the state has to have your report by October 15th, but you're not required to have your bridge report until November 1st. And I've always wanted to move this back a month so that we can get our bridge reports and see if there's anything there of consequence, and then integrate into the report. So the whole reason these are in there is so that if I get that report in November and they say, oh, hey, this one, then we can make a quick decision, okay, if we're gonna apply for a planning grant plus a construction grant, we better get going on it right now, you know. And the motivation in buying the extra points, because we fix our bridges as soon as they're eligible. So compared to other people that wait until they're all down here, so then we have to come up with a way to get us a better score, because the bridge won't score as high if it's not as bad. So, and in this case, I just said they were all gonna be 80-20 big bridge grants, but as we've seen the last few years, there are other funding programs that come through, and if any of them would be eligible for that, we'll throw them over into that, so. All right, like I said, it's not overly detailed and super exciting, but those are all the areas I think we'll be working on. It does not assume an overly aggressive funding. Like, I'm not assuming there's gonna be increases every single year, you know, I'm trying to be realistic about those as well when I do it. Lynn's probably where they're rolling her eyes, but, so, you know, there's room for things. This also doesn't mean that this is all we're gonna do, you know, but these are the things that we're pretty sure we're gonna do, and, I'm at least confident enough that I'm gonna come and tell you we're gonna do them, you know, so, but, and any other questions yet? Oh, yeah, one other thing. These are my no man's land things. I didn't know what else to do with them, so I just created my own category. But these three are gonna get wedged in somewhere. Again, I can't sit here and tell you how, okay? That's the mile from 281 into the fairgrounds, which is the busiest road in the county. And this one is from 281 over to the beef plant, which is the busiest road in the county. And then this is from 281 into Warner. Anybody wanna guess? It's the busiest road in the county. So, no, I'm being a little facetious there,
I
but
thought I lived on the.
yeah, you do, you do. Actually, one guy told me there was a township road up here, 400, by God. But these are all gonna get addressed in short order. The problem is, we can't keep going like we're going with them, but I don't have a solution. So it's gonna get handled, but, most likely next year, which is a terrible year to try to wedge more stuff in there. I've looked, this one, I've been the bridge is too good. It's stupid. The bridge is a problem, but it doesn't meet anything to be qualified for anything for quite a while, probably. And we fixed the road so much, there's so much material out there, that you literally, if we were gonna go pave it, we'd have to haul some stuff off of it. And I don't understand why because there's like 16 inches of gravel and asphalt and stuff underneath that, because I can remember milling it up 3 times, because, and then I finally learned up on 14, south of the water plant, that we're in trouble there forever, because that water moves through, Captain Obvious, right? But the water moves through the road beds. We've dug out the same spots, and I was standing there when we put clean material in, and when we took it back out, it was full of mud. And I'm certain that's what's happening there, because we have 1.5 foot of gravel underneath it, and it just blows up instantly all the frickin' time. I looked at putting concrete in there, and then they cored it, and they said, well, geez, you got 16 inches of gravel in here, and I'm like, yeah, so why does it keep blowing up? So that might take a little more sleuthing, but this one should be easy enough. We just have to be careful not to make it too steep when we overlay it, that mile coming over from 281. And this one's bad. This one will probably have to mill off an inch or something, just plain off an inch of it. We'll haul that material into our yard or over to the dumpster site over here and do something with it, and then just sit back in there and pave it. So the paving part of it's a day. That's no big deal. It's the money and the timing, you know. So we won't do it right before the fair, though, Tree, don't worry. So those are what those 3 circles are. So that's Fairgrounds Road, that's going into the beef plant, and the Warner, going into Warner. Because I get comments on this one pretty frequently.
Sure.
The bridge is too good. The bridge has been gonna die for 15 years now. So.
Hangs in there.
All right, that's my report. You guys have any questions, or?
No, sorry, well done.
Good job.
I got one.
Yep.
Real quickly, we know with the Richmond Lake, with the Richmond Dam, the road and the bridge that's connected to it that we're gonna have to work on.
Sure.
What year are we looking at as far as that's concerned within this 5-year plan?
You're saying, the one that's over the spillway out there?
Yes.
That's actually running on the same timeline as the spillway project.
Okay.
So it's all gonna be done at the same time.
Wasn't that part of the scope of the spillway itself, was that would be repaved?
Yeah.
But,
So-
are you talking the road?
He's
South
talking
of that,
the
or-
I'm talking
bridge
about the
over.
road and the bridge,
Yep.
right where the dam
Right.
is.
So-
Yeah.
If you guys would take, you people, no, if you take, just think of it this way, okay? Forget the spillways there. Just take the spillway and put it over here and forget it's even there. The bridge and the road and all the rest of it that's impacted looks just like a bridge. It looks exactly like the Sand Lake project. It's exactly like the Sand Lake project. So you got this bridge project here, looks exactly like the Sand Lake project. It's just that because of the spillway, you have Bar Engineering doing the spillway project, and then they subbed out the bridge part of it to Bros Engineering, who has done 6 million county bridges, and they know exactly what the deal is. But, so as far as what it looks like from that standpoint, the bridge project looks just like any other bridge projects, it's just that it happens to be over the spillway, and then the spillway project's over here. I can't speak specifically to the coordination. Obviously, you're probably gonna do the bridge after you get the spillway the way you want it, but the timeline of the bridge and the road and all that that's encompassed in the timeline of the whole spillway project. Does that make sense?
That makes a little bit of sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the timeline that they outlined last night at the meeting out of Richmond, the dam would get replaced in '26, the bridge and the spillway in '27.
Okay. And you know, there is a semantics thing there when you start saying spillway and dam.
Yeah.
Not, you know, a lot of folks just, well, that's just,
Yeah.
the whole thing's a spillway or the whole thing's a dam, you know, so they, yeah, but obviously you have to fix the dam
and
first,
the spillway.
put the spillway on it, and then the bridge, so. Yep. So,
All right.
I forgot to bring my certification sheet with me, because I had all this other paperwork in. So I'll just bring it to the next meeting. You want me- I still have time if I bring it up next week. Is that okay? Okay, and that's just to certify that we had a wonderful meeting here this morning. I have a couple of, if you're ready, I'll just go into the department update. I usually am not up here every week like this, so the department update isn't really near as exciting. It's a lot like last week's was. We should be done at Mansfield on Monday.
Do you want us to,
I'm sorry.
acknowledge or approve this, okay, before we move on?
I recommend that you approve my plan.
Really? All right, I would entertain a motion to that effect.
Move.
Motion by
Second.
Dinger, second by Gage. Any further discussion? Job well done again, sir.
Thank you.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Okay, so we're still working on that 27. I showed that text to the foreman, and they went and looked at the road, and they couldn't see it. If you go out right after the roller goes over, and it'll almost always look like that, and then when it cools and needs a little bit, they go away.
Sure.
But we'll still pay attention, and sometime when we're not in here, I'll tell you what Josh said about what he figures is causing a problem down in front of that guy's house.
Okay.
But we should be done down there, I'm hoping Monday or Tuesday, and then we'll hop over and do that bridge, and then we're gonna go over and do the parking lot. Once we get done with 27 and we go to do the bridge in the parking lot, we go from about a 12 or 13 man operation down to about a 5 or 6, because you just need one truck when you're doing the small areas, so, then we can get back on some patching, and we're behind on mowing. We'll get on that, get going on that. Bridge, and I can't even read my... I don't know. We're gonna we're finishing paving on 27, and then we'll go, oh yeah, bridge and parking lot. I can't even read my own writing. And then I will see if the weather's left, there's any weather left, we might pave a couple other small things, but I'm not too optimistic. The gym and the Crow are still going down, not super fast, but yesterday they were at, gym's at 40, the Putney Slough's at 38. Last week they were at 33 and 30, so it's coming down, but still got a long ways to go. And, man, there's a lot of water in the Putney Slough moving through there, so. Oh, and then there will be a bill coming through next week, for the wetland credits. We haven't bought any before. And, I have to be careful I don't editorialize too much, because I'm not quite sure how we got here. I don't mean we, I mean the big picture. I'm gonna roll this into another discussion about waters of the US, but, it won't be bad, Drew, don't worry. Anyway, so you remember when we did the mitigation out at the Wilson site, because we had to, for the fairgrounds parking lot, and then the Road 16 project, between my point, the Road 16 project down there. And at the time, there was a FEMA thing that was tied into it too, that we had to mitigate for. And so we went through that process and had partnership with Game and Fish, and we went out on, right out, it's the Wilson tract, but it's next to the Casanova tract out there, and reestablished an old wetland. And I can't speak to the acres, but, you know, it was a 6, 7, 8, 10 acre deal that we built out there. And when you do that, the actual construction is like 4 hours, depending on the scenario. You just put in a couple little berms to hold the water in certain spots, and so the constructing it was literally 4 hours and, you know, $5,000, probably not even that. And then you have to monitor that for however many years, like 6 or 7 years, or until the aquatic grasses establish themselves. And then you're paying a guy to go out there once a year, and, you know, a certified dude to go out and look at it and say, yeah, that's wetland and all that. Well, that's what the old process has always been, that. Now, it got a little snaky in really wet years when you're out standing on some guy with a 40 underwater asking him for a donation to, you know, mitigate some wetlands when he's already... So I don't know if that was the motivating factor. I'm not gonna speak too much about some stuff I've heard about some complications with the DOT and the Corps that sort of led to this. So, for instance, up on the Sand Lake Bridge, we have to buy, or we have to accommodate or create 1.1 acres of wetlands. And then wetlands have certain classifications. You can't wreck a bad one, or excuse me, wreck a good one, and then create a bad one and say that it's the same thing. So if you were to do that, you'd have to make like 3 acres to the 1 acre or something like that. So now, I knew this was happening, but we hadn't run into it yet. And so somewhere along the line, I got a letter that says, okay, you gotta buy 1.1 acres of wetland credits, and you have to get them. Right now, there was only one opening for our area, and it's Ducks Unlimited. So call them up, say I need 1.1 acres of wetland credits, and they send you a bill for $26,400. It's $24,000 per acre for these credits. So that bill will be coming through next week, because we have to get that and send it to the state and say, yep, we got that covered. And so that's what the process is now. And then I don't know if you can physically go out somewhere and they go, yep, there's the Brown County wetland, or if you're just in a bank. I would assume you're just in a data bank where they say we've got 100 available, and 1.1 of those are for Brown County. I've been inquiring because you can still mitigate. You can still do that process, which, if you're gonna split hairs, you gotta decide the time versus the cost, because it is a little cheaper to mitigate, but you're dealing with it over 6 or 7 years. This, you pay, Ducks Unlimited does whatever it is they do, and everybody's happy. The only problem with the whole thing is that it never comes up for mitigation. That's not, you know, even though I have some other areas where we could do a similar thing that's cooperative with some other agencies, but no one ever presents that as an option. It's just been completely, you don't talk about it, and if I ever ask about it, it's always, well, no, just call Game and Fish. And so, at any rate, that's gonna be a weird looking bill that comes through, and that's what it's for. It's for our wetland credits for the Sand Lake Bridge. Okay, hop over here for a second. So the state DENR and farming, well, I don't even know what it's called. What is it?
Department of Ag and Natural.
DANR, okay.
Danner.
So, there's been a new court case that has redefined the waters of the U.S. And the specific thing that it pertains to is a water body that's not connected to any other waters of the U.S. Basically, around here, I'm talking a slough beside a road in our scenario, that's a closed basin, is not currently being regulated for that until October of '26. The South Dakota DANR is trying to walk through that to decide if they should be regulating those bodies of water. And so we've been having quite a few meetings and discussions about it. And that, one of the things I added in, because they were asking, they're asking us what are your different pitfalls or your challenges, or what's worked good when you're working with getting a 404 permit. And that was the one thing that I brought up. I said, well, I just think we should have the opportunity. I know for some people you can mitigate, some people it works better to buy them. I know Spink County right now, between questioning the amount of acres they have to purchase and just straight up having to purchase them, they're running, we're only talking 26,000, they're running about 180,000 per bridge on top of what the bridge costs you. And most of the funding mechanisms do not include the counties responsible for the environmental stuff, so you have to pay for your own mitigation of wetland credits. So what I've been communicating to the folks in Pierre about that was, it's gotta be simple or nobody's gonna do it. And don't just copy the federal program. Make it so if we want to mitigate, and it works for us to mitigate, that we can. And then they're trying to decide the level. I mean, they could just not do anything, and it's just not ever gonna be regulated, but I don't know that that's the answer. And then, all the way up to, over-regulating it, which that's not really the answer either. And then we are also trying to get a list of items that are exempted in there, so, like rebuilding your shoulder, you don't have to go get a 404 permit to rebuild the shoulder that muskratted off into the slough or something, there's a lot of things like that, so. And I also told them that you can't add any FTEs. Doesn't do us any good to create a new program. He said, can you absorb it within the department? And they thought that wouldn't be a problem, but, so there will be some other changes there. That definition usually changes with the political philosophy in Washington, but and then every so often someone has a court case, and then that'll throw it another direction too. So if you wanna do any illegal filling right now, you gotta tell October of '26 to do it, I guess, so. All right,
Can
yeah,
I ask you a couple questions on
Yeah.
that?
I might not know the answers, you understand?
Well, you might not, but the 1.7 acres, is that you're buying from?
1.1, yes.
1.1, excuse
Yep.
me, acres from Ducks Unlimited, is
Yep.
that new then? Like
Yes.
it's not something they currently have, they
No.
have to be doing a new project that money's put towards?
No, I don't know this exactly for a fact, but I think this is how it works, is they have a area. So they have, there's a physical spot somewhere that's got water on it.
Yeah.
And they might have said, okay, we're gonna make this a wetland bank. And so then the Corps or whoever would come out and evaluate it and say, yep, you got 120 acres there that you can use as a wetland bank. And then I think it's tied to some of your basins, so it's gotta be in the same, yeah, I know, I
So
don't.
it's there, okay.
We have
I was
one
curious.
in Rondell Township.
Where they're
Yeah.
building
It's
one.
about a 1 acre spot, and it's a Ducks Unlimited deal.
Yeah,
That might be
So
the one.
it's already there and is a wetland.
yeah,
Makes sense.
so
Okay.
there's.
The other quick question is, how do you get 1.2? Is the bridge that much bigger?
1.1.
Or 1.1, I thought you just said 1.2.
It's 1.1,
Potato salad.
26,400.
Ballpark.
Ballpark.
Okay.
All right. Is the bridge that much bigger? Why are we mitigating another 1.2 on that bridge at Sand Lake?
Because of the footings. Because you gotta go down, dig out, you gotta go down and dig out the footings. It's usually around the abutments
Yeah.
and the footings is where all your wetlands are when you buy them, usually. Or, I mean, that's what you're replacing almost always.
And those footings are covering 1.2, I mean, 1.2 acres is,
It's a lot.
Right,
it's a
but,
lot of area for a
sure,
footing.
but I can't, there's a multiplier in there. I mean, we're not disturbing 1.1, you gotta buy 1.1.
I was just curious.
But my point is, in Spink County, without, I don't even know who did their bridge, so I know it's not IMH, so I can say this, and I'm not worried, but that bridge is smaller, with a smaller footprint than our bridge, than the Sand Lake Bridge. And you know the Sand Lake Bridge is sitting in a slough, and has been since 1958, right? This one is not. And they need 4-point-some acres. So somebody did some bad analysis of what the need was. I don't think the people that looked at the Spink County Bridge, he's got two problems there. One is they didn't know this was coming, and two, I think they overestimated how much it'd be there. But no, it's not a 1-to-1. Hell, there's one program that used to be 7-to-1.
I don't, it was more to make a point that, so people understand, this is why our bridges cost so much.
Right.
And everything.
Right.
Aren't we hurting the fish more than the
No
ducks?
good reason.
I have no
Do we need
idea.
to start a fish unlimited, since we're putting bridge pilings in?
You are talking to the wrong cat, man. I just built
I'm
stuff.
I'm just wondering. We can go through it.
No, that's, honestly, we could have a total work session discussion on that topic, and I know, but it's, after a while, I just get to the point, like, all right, where's the boxes we gotta check, and then you just do them, and I have to admit, after 25 years, if they tell me to go do a backflip off the bridge to get it accomplished, I'll go do it. I mean,
That is
in a Speedo.
Yeah, it's American.
So, but no, I agree with you, 100%.
I was just curious on that.
But it's,
At least there's an actual wetland, because to me, it seems like you're buying a wetland on paper.
no.
But if there actually is a wetland somewhere
Honestly,
else.
what I would tell you guys to do, and if I'd have been thinking 15 years ago, I would already been petitioning you guys to get one, and then we could be selling that. We could take a piece of crap land or an old gravel pit, and you have to do stuff to it, and you have to monitor it. But then you'd have an 80, and you could turn around and sell it for, they'd come down on it.
selling instead of buying it.
Right, and we'd have ours, we would take, and actually that piece out on, immediately on the east side of the Moccasin Creek on Fairgrounds Road, so I don't know if you know where Kevin Fiedler built his house, but the creek goes through there. Immediately on the west side of that was going to be an 80-acre, and that was actually got far enough along, it used to be in the STIP. It was in the DOT's five-year plan, and they were gonna build that, and I don't know where, when, why it got derailed. But it got far enough along that it was actually a project listed in the STIP, and they were gonna, for that exact same thing, then the state would just use that as their...
There's a gravel pit in the northern part of the county we could make a wetland out
Yeah.
of, I think.
That's one that I'm thinking of. That would be perfect. Matter of fact, the back end of that, if we had somebody go in there right now and look at the south end of that, they would already declare that it's...
Yeah, and you could put fish in there, and it could be Brown County's conservation lot or whatever.
But, or get the elevation in the pit behind the fairgrounds straightened out, and you got 4 acres there, you could turn into a wetland. So, I mean, I'm being a little facetious, but going forward for you younglings, if you're gonna make a long career of it, that'd be something to look into.
Hey, if you wanna talk about longevity, we'll talk to Weed, because he'll be here the longest.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Unless you guys got any other questions?
I have one. Are you
Yep.
done? Yeah, this is real enough. Are you done with this, are they done with striping, you said, or?
Yes,
no?
I believe so.
They are, okay, never mind.
What did we miss?
Well, somebody had brought up possibly at the 14 and the 12 junction there, all your turn lanes and all that stuff are all wore off.
No.
And then they brought that up, but if they're already done, that's.
14 and 13? I can
No,
probably...
not 13,
No,
14
right
and
at
12, right at our
RDO.
RDO.
Oh,
Right there with
that'll
all
be
that.
the state anyway, I'll just get state.
No, 8th Avenue, you're talking, right?
No.
You're
When
talking...
you come up and
right
come
at
onto
RDO.
Highway US 12, the state takes care of that little spot, oh, yeah, they do, I suppose, they're right.
They go back about 100 feet or whatever,
Okay.
50 feet. Yeah,
All
I
right.
can call them and ask them.
Okay.
I noticed that too, just a couple weeks ago.
Somebody brought that up, and I did see it's pretty basic, so.
Okay.
That's a question. All right.
Sure.
All right,
Thanks.
Good enough? Good?
thank you.
All right.
Have a good rest of your day.
I'm gonna. Baseball playoffs start today, Drew.
They do.
But I heard you don't like the Savannah Bananas.
You're dressed for it today.
My Sherbert outfit?
Yeah, looks good.
Thanks, Drew.
Have a good day.
All right, up next, consent calendar, Lynn.
Approval of the general meeting minutes for September 23rd.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Dinger, second by Gage. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Claims.
Move. Second.
Motion by Dinner, second by Dinger. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
HR report.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Gage, second by Dinner. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Claim assignments.
Move.
Motion by Dinger,
Second.
second by Gage. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Travel request.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Gage, second by Dinner. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Lease agreement.
Move. Second.
Motion by Dinner, second by Dinger. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Zoning ordinance number 302 for wind energy systems, set hearing date and authorized advertising.
Move.
Motion by Gage, second by Dinger. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
And ordinance 303 data center, set hearing date and authorized advertising.
Motion by Dinger,
Second.
second by Gage. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Any other business to come before the Brown County Commission this morning?
When were you gonna set that hearing date for?
Oh.
21st of October.
Okay,
Oh.
thank you.
Oh, okay. All right, any other business to come before the Brown County Commission? We've had a request to go into executive session for personnel. Any legal updates? Okay. Entertain a motion to that effect.
Move.
Motion by Gage, second by Denner, to go into executive session. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, we are out of executive session, back in session with no action as a result. Is there anything else to come before the Brown County Commission this morning?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Dinger, second by Denner to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned.